everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video I'm going to be doing my own nails again, but this time I'm going to be showing you guys another way that I work with the fibre base coat, and then of course we're going to be finishing with a little bit of nail art. So I really hope you all enjoy watching. I have already done all of the natural nail prep. As always, I will leave a dedicated prep video in the description box below, so do check that out if you want in to see the prep steps. Here I'm just coming in and dehydrating with one of the Kiki London alcohol wipes, and then I'm going to come in and apply the Kiki London primer. Now, a little bit goes a long way with the primer, so I like to only take a small amount on my brush and just make sure that I'm applying it to the entire nail. You want to get nice and close to the cuticle area, but as all of your nail products, you want to avoid getting them on the cuticles or the skin. Now, the primer does air dry, so you don't need to cure it or anything like that. And then we're going to come in and apply our fibre base. Now, the fibre base is a clear gel base coat, but it has these synthetic fiberglass particles in there. They're like little strands. It's really hard to pick them up and show you guys on camera, but it is a really brilliant product. This was really unique to me when it very first came out, but I've had it a while now. I've used it quite a lot. And a while back, I see someone, another one of the Kiki London ambassadors, I think it was, I see them use it with two coats to kind of create a little bit more of a thickness and a little bit more strength to the nail. So I've been giving that a go on and off the last couple of months, and I really like how it works. So I thought I would share it with you guys here today. Now, of course, if you don't want to apply it, or if you don't want to build any extra strength with it, you can just apply it like I am here on the first coat. Just do one coat and then go straight in with your gel polish application. That's how you would have seen me use it in previous videos, and that's brilliant. But sometimes when I'm working on my natural nails, I like to just have an ever so slight apex to the nail, the bit like how the look you get when you do a builder gel overlay. So I quite like doing it this method with the fibre base coat for that. So I've applied my first coat as normal, just a thin first coat to all of the nails, and I'm going to cure that for 30 seconds. But then when I come in and do the second coat, I pop another very thin layer of the fibre base coat down. So as you can see here, I've got just a small amount on my brush. I'm letting the brush fan out. I'm getting nice and close to the cuticle and sidewalls. But then I take another small ball of gel and I just float this down the center of the nail. I'm not taking this too close to the cuticles or the sidewalls. And I'm also kind of reinforcing the free edge of the tip with this ball of gel as well, because I find that's where I don't wear my nails very long. I usually keep them quite short, my natural nails, but I do find a lot of the time if I am going to break them or damage them, it will always be the very tip of the nail, usually one of the corners, and then it kind of ruins the square shape that I like to have. So reinforcing the very free edge of the tip this way, I just find it's worked really well for making sure I don't damage the very tips of my nails, because I am quite heavy on my nails. Now, I did 2 nails at a time when I was working with this method, because it is a little bit of a thinner consistency product compared to the rubber bases or your builder gels. It can run back into the cuticles if you're using it a little bit thicker. So I did 2 nails at a time and cured those, but you could also just do 1 nail at a time and cure that. And then if you were working on clients, you would work on the other hand. But it is just a really brilliant way to get a little bit of extra strength and thickness to the nails. Now, the fibre base coat is brilliant for anyone with weak or brittle nails, anyone who might have damaged their nails in the past. So, for example, they're a nail biter and they're now looking to kind of fix up their nails and strengthen them. It's also brilliant if you're like myself and quite heavy-handed or hard on your nails, because it really does help give you a nice strong layer before you come in and either apply your builder gel or your gel polish. I'm not going to be using builder gel today. I'm just going to be doing gel polish, and that's why I decided to do the 2 coats. You can see there when I turn my hand to the side, it's just created an ever so slight natural apex down that center of the nail. We predominantly applied that second coat down that center part of the nail just because I like that natural apex it gives, especially if you've got quite flat nail beds or flat natural nails like myself. Now, because I have applied this in 2 coats and I'm a little bit thicker, I'm going to come over and buff it just so I'm making sure that the application is nice and even and that there's no unevenness, because any unevenness on your base is going to be picked up on your gel polish, and you can kind of notice it a little bit more, especially if you're applying darker or brighter colours. So I'm just coming over with the 100 grit side of the Kiki London buffer, just gently, kind of also to help blend in that second layer around the sidewalls and the cuticle so there's no thick ridge or anything like that. And then we're going to dust off using the Kiki London dust brush, making sure to give the nails a really good clean. So I'm going to come over them with an alcohol wipe as well, just to make sure that they are really free of any dust. And I really feel doing it this way, my nails feel really nice, really reinforced, but without having too much thickness to them or as thick as, say, a builder gel overlay. So it's great if someone's maybe not ready to go for a builder gel overlay, or perhaps they've been wearing a builder gel overlay and they don't find they need as much strength now. I would highly recommend checking out the fiber base coat. But anyway, let's move on to the design. So here I've chose 2 colors. Zesty Blue I wanted to be the most prominent color in this set. This was my first time actually using this color. I can't believe I've not used it before. It is absolutely gorgeous, especially for a late summer set, I feel. And although we're not necessarily in late summer, I don't feel as though this summer has been as hot as the previous one. But I kind of find this color quite a nice transitional shade from summer to autumn, but it does have a little bit more of a green tinge to it that's not being picked up on camera. So on camera, it looks a little bit more blue than what it does in real life. Now I'm going to apply the first coat of Zesty Blue on my pointer and my little finger, and I'm using the bottle brush for a majority of that application. But you will see here I switched to my detail brush, so I'm going to take this and just to take a small amount of gel polish from the bottle brush, and I'm just going to use the detail brush to get nice and close to that cuticle. Sometimes when you're working on small nail beds, it can be really hard to get a nice neat cuticle application with your brush. So I always like to have my detail brush to hand, just so if there's any areas where I can't quite get as close or as neat as I want to with the bottle brush, I can do so with my detail brush. You will have also seen as well that I clean up with my angled nail art brush. So whenever I'm doing any kind of gel polish application, I always have this brush to hand as well. And I'll just wipe this onto a bit of alcohol and then clean up using that. But a lot of the work is done with the bottle brush, and I like to just take a small amount of gel polish on my bottle brush for the first coat. And you can see that when I first applied that brush down, I applied a majority of the product. You'll see here, I don't go straight in close to the cuticle area. I apply a majority of the product to the whole sort of 3/4 of the way down the nail. Then you've got less product on your brush. So then when I have less product on my brush, I can get closer to the cuticle and sidewalls without worrying about the gel polish pooling or applying too much pressure and flooding the gel polish into the cuticles or the sidewalls. So once we had done our first coat, this is what the first coat looks like. And I have to say, if Zesty Blue is highly pigmented, but I did still want to come in with a second coat. So I'm going to come in and apply the second coat same as before. So you can see here, I've only got a small amount of gel polish on my brush. So when I apply a little bit of pressure and the brush fans out, you can get a nice neat application with your bottle brush. I also like to cap the free edge on this second coat as well. So you see I just run along the free edge with the brush just to cap that. And then here I'm cleaning up, like I mentioned, with that angled nail art brush. It's quite stiff, the angled nail art brush, so it's brilliant for getting around the cuticles or down the sidewalls if you do make any mistakes with your gel polish. You always want to remove any gel polish from the skin or cuticles straight away. Once you have popped it into cure, it's going to be pretty impossible to remove. So I always like to remove it straight away. Again, when it comes to applying that second coat, I like to only take a small amount of product on the brush if I'm working on short nails, because you don't need loads of gel polish. You want to make sure that you're keeping your layers of gel polish nice and thin. So ideally, 99% of the Kiki London gel polishes, you will only require 2 coats. So there'll be the odd colour sometimes, might become personal preference that you might want to do 3 coats. You will find that you'll even get the odd colour that only needs 1 coat because the colours are very highly pigmented. But it is always recommended to go in and do 2 thin coats of colour. Like for example, with Zesty Blue, I felt 1 coat was really pigmented, but it looked just a little bit uneven. So that was why I come in and applied that second coat. So always keep your coats nice and thin, and I would highly recommend just 2 coats. This is what these look like with 2 coats of gel polish. I think these colours worked really beautiful as well. Now, Tailor Made, you're not actually going to see very much of that colour, but it worked really nice as a nude background for the nail art design I had in mind. So I've taken my Kiki London palette, I've popped some of that Zesty Blue down, and here we're adding in a little bit of Feeling Peachy, because I did still want to keep with the summer look. Now, we're going to keep that nail art fairly simple because I'm working on short nails and I'm working on myself and recording, and I do find it a little tricky to do certain designs on my own nails if I'm wearing them quite short, but I really love wearing abstract designs on myself. It's probably one of my favorite looks to wear on myself. So that's what we're going to do today. So I'm taking my stripe liner brush, I've rolled it through that gel polish. You want to really roll it through and work it through the gel polish so that you load up the inner bristles of the brush and you don't just have the gel polish sitting on the outer layers of the bristles of the brush. So I like to really work it through, and then all we're going to do is we're going to do just an abstract shape on both of the nails in Zesty Blue, and then we'll swap and do some shapes with Feeling Peachy. Now, I wanted a lot of colour in this design, so that's why, like I said, you're not going to see lots of Tailor Made, because I wanted the colours to pop, because we are going to lay out some foils and stamping on the top. So I'm doing the same again. I wanted to mix it up, so have Zesty Blue on one top corner on one nail and then on the lower corner of the nail, and all I've literally done is like a squiggly line down the nail and then coloured that in. One of the great things about abstract nails is they don't have to be perfect crisp shapes, and you can just play around with it and adapt it. I was just winging it with this set. I didn't really have a look in mind as such, so I was just winging it as I went along. Now, I cleaned up my brush on one of the alcohol wipes, and then we're going to swap to using Feeling Peachy, and I'm just going to do another shape in a different area of the nail. So I went to opposite so that we were keeping the Tailor Made running down the center of the nail. And then Feeling Peachy, because the tone of it is quite similar to Tailor Made underneath, in one coat the color didn't pop as much as Zesty Blue. Like I said, Zesty Blue is very bright, very pigmented, and Feeling Peachy is a very bright color, but when you're popping it over a similar toned base, it looked a little bit washed out. So I did decide to do 2 coats of Feeling Peachy just so that color really popped, because we're going to be layering nail art on top of it. I do still want it to be visible in the design. So again, keep it nice and thin, especially if you know that you're going to come in with a second coat, and I'm capping that color along the free edge there as well. So we popped that in to cure for 30 seconds, and then I'm just going to simply come over the Feeling Peachy again. I didn't come over the Zesty Blue because it didn't need it, but you'll see here when we add that second coat of Feeling Peachy, the colour just comes to life a little bit more. You probably wouldn't have needed to do this if we were working over a white base, but sometimes when you're doing nail art and you're working over different colour bases, it is going to affect the colour of the gel polish. So keeping it nice and neat. The great thing about the strap liner brush is it is nice and thin. You guys know how much I love this brush, but because it's nice and thin, it's really easy to come over and do a second coat of nail art. You can just simply follow the shape you've got underneath nice and easily. If you are not confident using a long brush like the stripe liner brush, I would highly recommend checking out the detail brush, because that's great for designs like this as well. Now, on this design, I want to add in some foils, but I only want the foils to go where I place my foil gel. So what I'm going to do is give the nails a really good wipe with an alcohol pad to make sure I remove the tacky layer from all of those colours of the gel polish. Then we're going to take some foil gel and apply it down onto my nail art palette, and I want to create a sort of rough textured look with my foils. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ombre brush, because this has nice fine bristles at the end of it, and I'm going to really work it through my foil gel and then brush off the excess so that there's only a really small amount of foil gel on the ends of my brush. And then we're just going to brush this on, going in different ways on both the nails. I'm only going to need a little bit because the foil gel has a super tack to it, so you only need a little bit when you're doing your foils in a nail art design like this rather than when you're applying them to a full nail. It's a little hard to see where I've applied it because the foil gel is clear. So we're going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds, and then I'm going to take the classic metallic foils. I went for a gold because I felt as though gold would work really nicely with the Zesty Blue. And you're already going to need a small amount of it, and then we're simply going to tap this on to our cured foil gel, and it gives off that rough textured look, which I think works really well in abstract designs. I love abstracts where you've got lots of different elements. I was going to add a little bit of the eggshell top coat into this look as well, but because the nails were quite short, I didn't want to overload them too much. Just tapping on any areas where I want a little bit more gold, and this is why it was really important to remove the tacky layer from the coloured gel polishes underneath, because those foils might have just stuck here and there where you wouldn't want them to go. And we're going to finish off with a little bit of stamping because I really struggle to hand paint leaves and things like that on my own nails, especially when recording. It just takes me ages. So I thought we would finish with a little bit of stamping. I'll talk you through how I stamp on the second nail. So I'm going to take one of the Kiki London alcohol wipes. I really like these for cleaning my stamping plates. So I'm just going to clean off all of that excess stamping polish for the previous design. Then I'm going to apply a small amount of stamping polish, scrape away the excess. You want to make sure you scrape away any of that smearing. Quick flick of the wrist with your stamper. I'm then going to remove the excess image with my roller. And then we're going to line this up over the foils and simply press down. And I love how stamping looks over foils. Stamping and water decals over the top of foils are such a pretty nail art design. And I just love how all the layers come together in a set like that. On my thumbnail off camera, I did just do a full coat of Zesty Blue because I wanted to tie it in to the other nails. And we're now ready to come in and top coat. So I'm going to take the No Wipe rubber top coat today, simply because we've got all of the nail art on the middle and ring fingers. I like to seal all my nail art in with the rubber top coat. It's that little bit thicker, so it just seals everything in nicely. But also because, like I was saying with the fibre base coat, I'm quite hard on my nails. So the rubber top coat gives you that extra confidence that you've got the strength there. You're not going to have any chipping or anything like that. When I say I'm hard on my nails, I really am hard on my nails. I'm not one of these people who listens to aftercare or wear gloves and things like that. So the rubber top coat I find is brilliant. I don't get any chipping or anything like that with it. And it adds that extra layer of strength to the nails as well if you have got quite thin or quite weak nails like myself. Now with the rubber top coat, I do kind of gently just float it on, and then it self-levels absolutely beautifully. So again, like I was saying with the fibre base, it helps create a nice natural apex to the nail. And just look at the shine, it is absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to pop that in to cure for 60 seconds. And then this, guys, is the finished result. Lastly, I am going to come in with a little bit of the Coconut Escape cuticle oil just to nourish and replenish the cuticles. I absolutely love the smell of this one. It really does give off a summer vibe. But as I'm doing this voiceover, it is grey and rainy outside. So hopefully the summery nails will on the sunshine. I hope wherever you are, you have a little bit of sunshine. As always, all of the products I've used in today's video will be linked in the description box below, so do check that out. If you did enjoy today's video, please do give it a thumbs up. Leave us a comment below. If you have any requests of any sets you would like to see, please do leave that in the comments below too. I did get a request, to do a set with the Neon Pastel collection, and I do have a set in mind for that, so that will be coming up. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I would absolutely love it if you did. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.